They didn't know that I could get on a plane because if I had gone by road, I wouldn't have been by NYSC. There was the days of Nigeria Airways. So when I got there to Jos, the airline that was supposed to take us to Yola stopped and dropped us off. I said it's not going to Yola anymore. So I had nowhere to go. And in an attempt to go by land from Jos to Yola was also impossible. It would take me there the next day because there were no buses that. So I stayed at the airport, and then about 2 hours later, the intercom, the radio system cranked up on there with just me and the radio guy, and they said there's another flight coming to Yola. So I waited, and anytime this flight, he was carrying some dignitaries, including Jonathan Zwingina, who was Abiola's spokesperson at that time. So I went to camp, arrived, they closed the camp at 12. I mean at 10 instead of 12. But I reminded them that I arrived before 12, and we had a little fight. They said they can't wake their staff. But eventually they agreed with me. They came on time. So I was registered. The soldiers took on me. They complained about what I'm wearing, and then when they mistreat people and I speak, they just targeted me until one day they poured water on me at the parade ground. Then it became a big fight. And after that, we fought them to the point that we started killing our own cows, and that was how I discovered that NYSC camp cows are stolen by the officials because you never see the head, the tail, they just bring smokes. After that, we conquered them, and then when it was time for primary assignment, they took me to somewhere on the Cameroonian border. But there was a guy walking up on that. He knew me and said, "If you go to this place, people are just going to kill you." At the border. So he pleaded with somebody to accept me at ATV Yola. That was at Adamawa State Television at that time. And the ATV Yola people probably didn't know who I was very well. So he just accepted me, kept me around. And after the guy who was presenting the NYSC program left, they asked me to represent, and I was doing they want me to do like normal NYSC thing, road construction, doing zebra crossings. And I kept doing it until the Kensarawewa case happened, and I produced that Kensarawewa was murdered by the military. And all hell was left with. I was thrown out of the place I was staying. My primary assignment place, which was ATV Yola, was withdrawn. They even drove me to the house to take my mattress. And then the DSS in Yola invited me for a chat. I went there, and I was very clear that I don't believe in military rule, and wrote a statement that indicted the military. So they let me go and asked me to go and find another place of primary assignment. So I found an artist downtown Yola, Samuel is his name. He was like a visual artist, and I was the assistant, and I finished my NYSC. They looked at everything. They stopped my salary for a while, but then when I kept going there to embarrass them, so they would pay me. The bank also was having an issue. I'll go to the bank and fight the bank so that other coppers could get the bank money paid. In fact, the manager of the bank was Zwingina's wife, one of his wives. So she'll be surprised to see me in the banking hall fighting to get paid. I'm just telling you this story to tell you my small experience, which I will write about. So we finished our personal parade, and the DSS people and the Air Force guy were waiting for me. And they said, I would like to see you. I said, well, what about my certificate? I'm done. And they said, no, you have to come with us. They took me to the DSS, then the Air Force guys took me to the guard room, and I was a 10-foot-7. I almost died because it was a small space. I was handcuffed. They put me in leg chain and hand chain inside the guard room, meant for soldiers. I wasn't trained for that. I was sweating 24 hours. I couldn't sleep. I literally no sleep. When I wake up in the morning, I'll be disoriented. And then I didn't know that Punch wrote about it. So the man who was in charge of Yola was transferred, and the new guard commander came and asked to see the student the copper who was detained in the guard room. And when they brought me out, they asked them what I did wrong. And they said, well, while I was in one of their officers' mess, that I was always talking about the overthrow of the government. And the intelligence people and the DSS. And the guy said, well, if the DSS is the one who found him to breach public security. You have no business putting him in a car. It's not a soldier. Guard rooms are meant for the military. Take him back to the DSS. So they drove me back to the DSS. The DSS took my fingerprint, they took pictures of me and released me. And by the time I went to the house where I was staying, my things were gone. I had no money, no certificate. So I went back to Zwingina's house, knocked his gate, and I said, please don't come inside my house. You are now an official enemy of the government. I don't want to be seen with you. But to his credit, he went inside, sister outside, gave me money to buy an airline ticket. And I must have been one of the last passengers on Nigerian Airways before it finally packed up, before the company was liquidated by the system. So that was so when I came back to town, to Lagos, they informed us after we went to court. I sued them, and the judge, Justice Jinodole, said, it was a brave judge, he said, but I can't intervene. There's a clause in the NYSC law act that you cannot sue the government. So they came to court and said, we found them to be doing political activities in camp, and that was his extension has been given to go to Sokoto. So we argued in court. GT Ogunye and Femi Falana were my lawyers. They argued in court that there's no way we'll go to Sokoto because I had already completed. They came to court and admitted that I had completed, that I was arrested after the passing out parade. So they said, no, we are not going anywhere. That was how it ended, but they never gave me